Okay, good morning everybody. I'm delighted to be here, and it is an absolute fleeting visit, and the only way that I managed to get here and will be able to get back for a meeting in about 15 minutes is because I came on my bike, hence the very attractive outfit. But I am the Cabinet Member for Health and Wellbeing, so I am supposed to do things like this. Apologies for not being the normal suited and booted politician, although I am finding out that people tend to prefer me like this, and also my suit. Right, hands up anybody in the room who hasn't got a Facebook page. And hands up anybody in the room who doesn't use Twitter. So I'm quite an interesting choice as speaker for something like HealthCamp, aren't I? And I think I represent, in terms of the topic I've been asked to speak to, a very interesting segment of demography. In the spirit of Christmas, you are supposed to say, oh no, you aren't, but I am 47, and that puts me in an interesting niche of the demography, because when I was in, I didn't actually hear people say, no, you surely can't be, you look far younger than 47. I'm part of a demographic niche. I did computer studies at sixth form college, and we had to go, well no, sorry, at school, sixth form, and we had to go from my school to Turnford College that took us 20 minutes to walk to. And in Turnford College they had this kind of like pipeline that was linked to what was then Hatfield Polytechnic. And we spent a whole hour programming, you know, a 15-20 line basic program to get the computer to say, hello Steve, and when the teleprinter in the old, you know, for those of you who remember the scores coming up on the football scores on a Saturday night, when the teleprinter printed out hello Steve, we just thought that was just so remarkably cool. But then again, we were a cohort that used to get a real buzz out of finding out numbers that you can put into your calculator and turn it upside down and it said a rude word. You know, it's that generation. But I'm not part of the generation. You know, I use computers. I've got an iPad. I think iPads are fantastic. But I'm not part of a generation that has grown up with that technology as being an integral part of the way I think about the world, in the way that my nephews really do. You know, there's that old adage. You know, I've bought my nephews things for Christmas that I don't really know what they are. I just know that they wanted them and I could afford them, so they've got them. But I'm still not entirely sure what it is that I've paid for. But they seem really pleased. So, and I just play the role of being the indulgent uncle. But in terms of this channel, I mean, I'm more than aware, and I know that politicians have used social media. That there is this enormous energy that is so young that it still is, you know, it's not even reached the terrible teens yet in terms of, you know, it's this rampaging toddler of potential. And I know that we have to harness it. And it can either go down an indulgent cul-de-sac where a whole load of geeky, although you don't actually look really geeky, I was expecting really geeky people for this kind of, but a whole load of geeky people just do self-fulfilling things that are really clever and please each other, and you just end up in a clique that are really well networked between yourselves but don't really talk to the outside world. Or it becomes this force that is truly transformational. And in things like adult social care, in things like healthcare, of course, the potential is there for it to make that transformational change. But I think we're at the point now where this toddler with a bundle of energy has now got to start thinking about adulthood and what he wants to do when he grows up. And part of what it's got to do when it grows up is actually figure out how it's going to relate to my mother. I took my mother to the theatre yesterday for her belated birthday present. My mother's 69, she's an educated professional, and trying desperately to get her to think about buying an iPad, and she gets things like, yes, I noticed that, can you get more than 3G, because I want as many Gs as I can get. You know, it's that, and she really loves the iPad because she can see the photos coming up on it. But what I want to be able to do, I mean, it's real telecare in terms of, because my mother lives in Salisbury, I live in Birmingham, is actually getting to the point where it becomes a resource that in much later life, she's able to use as something that she can interact with confidently as part of the provision of care. You know, I don't, you know, having said I don't do Facebook and I don't do Twitter, you'll realise that I am not anywhere near as well informed as you are. But I recently went on holiday to South America and used FaceTime to keep in touch with people. That was just wow. You know, having whole half-hour conversations with people that didn't cost me anything, and being able to keep on top. So in terms, you know, there's all of that potential. But I'm hoping, and Ed, in terms of inviting me along today and asking me to say things, is really encouraging you. You've got to, you know, I hope HealthCamp is something that will be part of that journey to adulthood for social media, that will help figure out some the clever ways in which you'll be able to make social media work in a relevant, connected way for some of the most hard to reach people. Because if we don't, the danger is that we end up having, you know, and this is a real concern for a place like Birmingham, you end up having, you know, a privileged, electronically connected elite who will most likely be largely white and middle class, and then you will have an underprivileged and disconnected, you know, in the same ways that some of you might have interest in public health. We talk about food deserts, we'll end up having digital deserts. Whole swathes, whole communities where, you know, the idea that anybody might be able to afford something like a broadband connection would just be laughable. And if we develop things and become, I think that it's called channel shift, isn't it? That if channel shift gets taken to its logical extreme, the danger is that there'll be the vulnerable and the deprived and the people who already suffer the most inequality in our city will get left behind, and will be heaping yet further inequality on top of the inequality they already experience. And that's something we've got to guard against and fix. I'm very optimistic that it can happen. I'm very content with the idea that I might become quite a curmudgeonly old man and be quite derisory about it all as I, you know, approach the age of my mother. And I just think that's what happens when people get old. I'm quite in touch with getting old. I'm quite liking it. But for our society to work, then we really have got to think. You know, it's not about 140 characters and saying something witty every day. It's about, you know, how does this work in the fabric of our society as part of the glue, and come to me and demonstrate that Twitter changes inequality in our city, and I might think about signing up myself. Thank you.